Okay, so before we start, I think we need to self-introduce in the chat area so that we get to know who is here. So you could just type in your name, your organization's name, and your designation. That should suffice. Again, also, I'll just run through the list of the partners we expected, just a brief roll call. So as usual, if you are in, just acknowledge, so then we get started. Today we are going to have our sessions into two parts. One part we are going to have a session where partners are going to share with us some of their experiences with the IL implementation and how they have been able to benefit from IL, and if at all there have been challenges, also to share out those challenges, especially for guys who are also planning to do the same. Then the second part of this, we are going to give mHealth guys a chance to also share with us some of their key products, which also integrates with EMR through IL. So they'll also take us through some of their products and some of the special features that are important to us. Then the last session, we are going to have a technical training on how to install and configure IL. And if time allows, we'll also go ahead and show you how to configure IL for direct reporting into DHIS through what we call automated indicator reporting, AIR. So those are the sessions we're going to have. So I guess you will sit with us throughout the session. So quickly, let me just run through the roll call. Just acknowledge if you hear your name, the name of your partner rather. So the first one is UMB Pact Temiza. Acknowledge if you are in. Do you have anyone from UMB Pact Temiza?
Yeah, I'm representing them, and they will be joining.
Okay, thank you. Afya Jijini. Anyone from Afya Jijini? Okay. Crisp.
Present.
Karibu. UN.
Present.
Okay. Amref.
Good afternoon, all. Present.
Thank you. Hope Worldwide. Hope Worldwide. Coptic.
Present.
Karibu. Ngima for sure. Ngima for sure. Okay. Afya Nyota ya Bonde.
Present.
Karibu. Elstrat. Anyone from Elstrat? LVCT steps. Walter Reed Nairobi. ICAP. Okay. Walter Reed South Rift. Walter Reed South Rift. Kogri. Anyone from Kogri? CHS Shinda. CHS Naishi.
Present.
Karibu. AHF. UMB, okay, Francis is there. Afya Kamilisha.
Present.
Thank you. KCCB, CAP. Not yet. Bomu. Afya Pwani. Not yet. Chapu Zima.
Present. We are present.
Thank you. LVCT Daraja.
Present.
Okay, karibu. LKIT.
Present.
Walter Reid Kisumu. Not yet. CHS Tegemeza.
Present.
Again. Present.
Okay. IRDO. And lastly, AMPAT.
Present.
Okay. Any partner that is here that have somehow left out?
Irida present.
Afya Ziwani also present.
Okay, Afya Ziwani. Okay. All right, so I'll share the screen, the agenda for the day. Meanwhile, kindly do self-introduction in the chat area. So if anyone could confirm whether my screen is visible.
Yeah, it's visible.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so just like I've shared, so this is going to be our schedule for the day. We'll have some introductory remarks from my colleague from Palladium, Diana and Dr. Jacob. Then from there, we'll go directly to the experience sharing by the partners. So we are going to have UMB going first. Then the second partner to go will be Afya Nyota. And the last partner will be Afya Ziwani. Then right after that, we are going to have mHealth. I don't know if mHealth is already in the room.
We are present. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, so after that, we are going to have about 20 minutes. We'll give that to mHealth to just take us through some of their key highlights and the products. Then once we are done with that, we'll start off the technical training on IL installation and configuration. Yeah, so at this point, I'll give it to Diana to facilitate this first session for us. Diana, if you are in the room, kindly take it away. Thank you.
Thanks, Bernard.
We are very happy to have this session today. Like we mentioned yesterday, this is an ongoing part of the trainings that we've been having since Tuesday. So today it will be slightly different. One, because we are trying to combine both the training and the meeting. So the first hour of this meeting, we're going to just have partners who've implemented IL share their experiences. Then the second part, we also have mHealth who will share the highlights of the products and the integration with IL, and then we'll have the training. So I'd want to invite Dr. Jacob to just give a slight opening remarks. Then he can also invite the CDC colleagues for a few remarks before we hand over to the partners to share their experiences with IL. Dr. Jacob. Dr. Jacob, can you hear me? Otieno, kindly confirm if.
Sorry?
Kindly confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Be in the room. Okay.
I think Jacob is muted. You might ask him to unmute.
Doc, I think if you're talking, you're on mute. I'm not sure if he can hear us. So maybe we'll just continue and then he can join in when he can hear us. So Makona, please, if you can just give us a few remarks before we start.
Thank you, Diana. So thanks for all the IMs for joining. This is going to be a very critical meeting. It's basically the demonstration of the IL and the discussions around how we are going to sort of scale it up. So I hope you have a wonderful discussion and welcome everybody. Over.
Thank you, Makona. I don't know if Dr. Jacob can hear us now.
No, I've spoken to him. He has said he's joining shortly, so he has asked us to just continue. We'll give his remarks in the process.
Okay. All right. So then we'll now go to the session of, I know this is not the first training we've done for IL. For some of us, this would be more of a refresher training. And we felt that it would be also very important for the guys who've not implemented IL to just get to learn from the team that have implemented IL. We didn't really have time to invite all the partners to share their experiences because we are so limited in time. We just requested 3 partners to share their experiences. Each will take approximately 10 minutes. And I would like to urge us, if we have any questions, let's kindly post them on chat. The team will be responding on chat. We wouldn't have time for Q&A in this session. So I would like to invite UMB. That would be Francis. Francis will be sharing experiences, joint experiences, both from UMB Endeleza and also UMB Pact, Endeleza and Timiza. So Francis, kindly take like 10 minutes. Then we go to the next presenter. So Kimonya, karibu.
Thank you, Diana. Good afternoon, everyone. Kindly confirm if you can hear me and you're able to see my share screen.
Yes, we can see your screen and we can hear you.
So thank you. So I'll take shortest time possible. So in interoperability layer is a middleware which sits between the EMR and the other application like NDT, MLAB system, like the one that for the viral load, and also the DHIS2. So this application enables communication between the system, that is upload and download. So that's the brief introduction of interoperability there. So it has other more detailed function for interoperability there, where you're able to see all the events that have been processed, which are captured as a messages, and also you're able to track the successful one and the unsuccessful one. So for this case, we will share experience. I'll start with we have two programs that we implement in 3 counties. That is specifically in Nairobi, in specific sub-counties, and also we also implement in Kisii and Migori County. So UMB, we have deployed IL in 2 facilities in Migori. So for this, we did the automated indicator reporting. This is the process of pushing data from EMR to the DHIS2 platform, which is hosted by the Health IT. So for this facility, that is Matoso and Lwala. And also now we did interoperability today in Nairobi. That is for pushing the drug dispensation, that is the pharmacy form for NDT, and also pulling the viral automatically from the EID, that is through the mHealth server. Then after that, you look at the advantages and disadvantages. So as I said, we have 91 EMR facilities, 31 EMR in Nairobi, 30 in IQQ, 1 Kenya EMR, in Timiza, where we have 45 facilities that are in Kenya EMR, and 60 and 15, sorry, and in IQQ. That's a total of 60. So for the use case for the air automated indicator reporting, this was there was a pilot which was ongoing for 27 facilities, which began in July 2019 and September 2019. So there are those facilities that were nominated, and we successfully managed to push data to the DHIS2 platform. So this specifically report is the MOH731, where you're able to capture the data from the EMR and push. And using now the EMR for the report that not are captured from the EMR, like in the maths and other reports. So you just key in them manually through the EMR and save. So when now processing this report, all that data is pushed to the complete MOH731. So the first ADX file was sent to the national dataware, to the national DHIS, which was done. We did this one in 19th May 2020. That is from Matoso. And you confirmed this happened successfully. And subsequently, we did another one in the next month. And also, secondly, we did it at Lwala Health Center, which commissioned the use of the automated indicator reporting in June 2020. And the NDX transmission was sent live to the DHIS2, which happened on 2nd July 2020. So the ADX is a file that is generated from the EMR, from the Kenya EMR. So when you check, when you request for a report, we have an option for either ADX, CSV, or Excel. So for the automated indicator reporting, the message is sent through the NDX format. So I'll move to Nairobi for the Ruta. So the Ruta Health Center, this was a Monday facility that we adopted use of IL in March 2018, specifically to push the data from the prescription that are updated in the IQQ. So once the prescription are updated in the IQQ, they are sent to the web NDT, so that now the pharmacists are able to dispense. And once they dispense the drug. So the pharmacists, they are not supposed to create any any prescription. So the work is only to dispense. So this was successful. And what we did specifically for the router, we ensured there is a area connection between the CTC and the pharmacy. Then we did a fuzzy match, and that is cleaning of the unique identifiers. So we had to match the numbers to meet the criteria for 10-digit criteria. Then I know there are numbers that we add the can dash between the MFR code and the serial number. But using the IL, so the code is able to, it's intelligent enough to do the match and ignore the dash. So specifically for this, we didn't want to remove the dash since some client when realized that data was sent, that's the exact number that was used in the NASCOP EID. So we want to retain that to ensure that all the viral we receive them. Then after that, once we did a cleanup, so we did the first cleanup using a query for the bigger bunch for the client to meet the match criteria. Then for those one that didn't meet, we did a manual update of the patient clinic number. After that, we did a capacity building to the data management team at the facility and also the pharmacy team, so that now they know what is happening and now they're able to follow up to see from through the IL to track the messages that are either they are sent successfully or not. So after that, now we did once we did that, we did a mapping from through mHealth. So we are able to issue them the MFR code for the digital health center so that it can be activated from their server. And the process is complete. Then we purchased the modem. So the reason why we purchased the modem, these events are sent as a message. So when it's processing this one, it's sent through a message. So there must be a modem and a number. So it's sent to a message through the mHealth servers. So, and now once the signal is sent to mHealth servers, now it's sent back as a message to now directly through IR and to the IQCare server. And that result now is automatically, a form is created in the pharmacy, in the system, and then that is processed. But for the NDT, doesn't need, we did just a direct connection because it's a local area network. Then also we did a capacity building to the facility team regarding the VL requests, so that now they're able to track. They don't have to key in them track on a daily. The result they're able to download, deserving comparing what they expected on the samples that were requested. We move to the advantages. So the first advantage is via transmission. That is the reduced turnaround time in documentation of VL results and also error reduction on data entry. For the pharmacy form, no double registration on IQCare and NDT. So once you create client in IQCare, through IR, automatically that client is created in NDT. So there was no more need for manual prescriptions and also auto update of patient demographic information across the system. So once you do any updates using the IQCare, the changes you can see them from NDT. Then for automated indicator reporting, so it minimize transcription of error to that is the DHIS2 platform, and also reduction of time taken to compile manually MOH7.1. So of course there were the IR needed starting itself automatically, and now the team are now to restart the service. So if someone forgets to restart the service or start the service, so now the VL or the could not receive, or the NDT processing pharmacy form could not receive any message. So the VL transmission, if the format of the patient identifier used in the sending VL sample is not the standard patient identifier, the result could not be matched to the patient. And also we encountered a duplication of already existing result. This means if that a viral load was captured in the EMR manually, when IL was pulling this, could just create that form. But that bug was fixed, and now there was no duplication. So for the pharmacy, there was non-standard patient identifier on both systems, then to double registration, and this required data cleaning of the identifier. So you realize client were capturing the numbers, maybe there was a transcription errors, so it took a lot of time to do the cleaning, and also the matching process between the data in the ADT and IQ care. So also delays in prescription with patient having to wait for some time at pharmacy cost of VAL messages. So we realize, so once these events are sent to the IL, they are queued and they are processed. So there are some delays. So the dispensing messages not received by IL and IQ care. So what happened? The ADT, once any changes was done to ADT, IQ care wasn't receiving. So the description, it's like they were blocked from to receive from IQ care. But I know Palladium team is working on this. I haven't confirmed if this has been solved out. So for the air lastly, facilities using WebNDT are forced to disable viral messages to WebNDT to allow prioritization of NDX file to the IL through the DHS2. So generally, I would say these are a strong software, a good middleware. So it has eased the process, and also it has increased the accuracy in terms of documentation at the facilities. But it needs a lot of data cleanup of the data from the facility, and also cross monitoring. I hope I wasn't very fast.
No, you are not, Francis. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. I'm sure people have managed to pick a thing or two on the requirements for IL implementation, and also on your experience with using IL for the 3 use cases. So I would encourage us, if we have any questions for Francis or any clarifications, kindly post them on chat. He'll be available to respond to them. Thanks, Francis. The next presentation will come from Afya Nyota. I don't know if Afya Nyota are ready. Kindly take 10 minutes so that we can save on time. Afya Nyota, please. The floor is yours. I don't know if Dr. Jacob is on the line. Maybe he can give a few remarks as Afya Nyota are getting ready. Okay. Osoti, I guess you can go ahead.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Diana. This is Osoti from Afya Nyota Bonde. So for our case, we only have one use case, and that is the implementation of the IL for IQ care and the ADT. Yes. So Afya Nyota Bonde is implementing in 5 counties in the Rift Valley region, and that is the counties highlighted. We have Samburu, Laikipia, Baringo, Nakuru, and Kajiado. So in those regions, we have a total of 66 functional EMR sites, and out of these, 16 are Kenya EMR and 50 are IQ care sites. And this is just distributed across those regions with different numbers for different counties. Out of the 66 EMR sites currently, 23 of them are being used at point of care. That means files are now not being used. The EMR is being used at point of care, and then the rest are still using the system doing retrospective data entry. So for our case, the overall goal for the bigger goal for EMR implementation is to ensure that we are having all these sites operating at POC, and we eliminate the paperwork completely. And this includes the use of prescriptions for people who are going to be the physical prescriptions from the clinical room to the pharmacy room for dispensing. So in the year 2019, and I think beginning this year, we have been pursuing the aspect of ensuring that there is interoperability. And as I've indicated, our first use case was just for the ADT and IQ care. So the priority sites that we took 5 priority sites to roll out the IL, considering the infrastructure that was already available and that we felt would really work up so easily as first cases that we will now build a case for other regions. We had Nakuru PGH, Naivasha, Njoro Molo, and Bahati. So in order to achieve this, and I think it has also been alluded to by the first presenter, we worked on standardizing the CCC numbers in the web ADT and IQ care systems, so that to ensure that the IL was functional. It is also a prerequisite for the transmission of the prescriptions from IQ care to ADT, so that the identifiers are the same. So in the pilot period, we did not drop the physical prescription. So we were still, the clinicians were still doing the physical prescriptions, but they were being followed up by the messaging that was coming in to the ADT systems as prescriptions that are pending to be dispensed. Sorry. So for the sites that the IL was functionally implemented were 2, and there were 2 of our highest volume sites. We did it in Nakuru PGH, with a TX car of 7,500, and we did it in Naivasha with a TX car of 3,100. So during this implementation period, it was very helpful in the sense that once you are done, a client had been registered in the IQ care, you didn't need to do same registration of the client in the web ADT. So it eliminated duplication of effort, and it also ensured that there was standard names, because in scenarios where registration is done separately, where somebody does a registration in the IQ care and a different person does a registration in the ADT, you'd find that there would be slight differences in terms of spellings of names and even the order of names. You'd find the 3 names in the IQ care are different from the 3 names in the ADT. But in this period, where the IL was being used, you'll find that that was eliminated. But this did not live long, because when we upgraded to version 2.1, from version 2.1, we upgraded from version 2.1 to 2.2.1, it was 2.0.0 to 2.1.1, the IL stopped sending prescription to web ADT. And you realize these are sites that have got high traffic. So, people were disrupted in the process. So we stopped using the IL at that point. Yeah, so we communicated this with both the developers at Chai and the developers at Kenya HMIS, and I think this has informed further action on the product from the end of both. Some of the challenges that we faced during the use. So you realize that in editing, weight and height are must enter fields. For you to dispense in editing, you must have these fields entered. But you realize that IL was just sending the prescription from IQ Care, but the weight and height was not being sent. So it meant that still the clinician had to still write the weight and height on the physical prescription on a separate paper as the client is going to the pharmacy. So the main intention of using this is to at least ease and work and eliminate paperwork to the at least the best levels possible. But you realize this really became a barrier to that process. And then even in the queuing of prescriptions, in the editing, in the web editing, the prescription sent through IL, the ADT was using an auto-generated prescription number. So it was not sending in the prescription with the CCC number of the client. It was just using an auto-generated prescription number. So this meant that for you to search for this client, it's now moving you from the unique identifier, which is key for searching for the client. You're now being forced to use a name. And for clients who are enrolled in the periods when the IL had not been implemented, it meant that you'd find maybe separate spellings in names and even the order of the names, and maybe the three names could differ. The middle name could be a different one in the ADT compared to the IQ Care. So searching the client using the name when you want to now dispense a prescription made it a little bit difficult for somebody really to search and compare and get to know who the client really was. So it's really our hope, even as the product is developed further, this is affected in both editing, because I think now this was really on the Chai's desk, ensuring that it was really being, instead of an auto-generated prescription number, it be the CCC number, so that the person who is dispensing the prescription sent is able to identify the client easily. Yeah. So this has also been mentioned by the presenter who earlier presented, and we realized that ADT, there were a lot of delays in the receiving of prescriptions by the web editing through IL. So sometimes you'd find a client has been served at the CCC, and they get to the pharmacy, and they have to wait before the pharmacy person is able to see this prescription for them to dispense it, and it took a bit of time. So you'd have that delays, and also a little bit of some level of inconvenience to the clients who are waiting. Then there was a question of IL stopping, just stopping by itself. It just stops, so it's either you restart it, and if it is not restarted, it means the prescriptions are not coming. And if it stopped for the whole day and these people decided to bypass the prescription sent by the IL and just decide to dispense through the other window of the ADT, so the following day when somebody restarts it, it sends in a backlog of pending prescriptions. So like in PGH, you'd have like in a week, you're now having around 3,000 pending prescriptions that are not being dispensed. So it's that was also a challenge, and we hope even as the product is developed further, this is addressed. Yeah, because I think in most of our sites, some people are really, if we don't have people who have interest in computers, some may not be even have that thinking to go and restart the IL. So just let it be. So I think if we just fix that, so that the users really don't have to go through that trouble. It will help. Then the navigation of the pending prescriptions is also very slow, and I hope that can be developed, sorted out by both CHAI and Kenya HMIS. You'd have a list of pending prescriptions. Once you resolve one prescription, before it takes you back to the list of pending prescription, it has taken a little bit, it takes some time. So the users really got uncomfortable with it because it felt that it was becoming inconvenient. Once you have dispensed one prescription, before it takes you back to the list of other pending prescriptions, it was taking a bit of time. Then I think the final one is something that can be thought through, because in the current scenario, even the period that when we were implementing the IL, we realized based on the guidance by NASCOP, we really don't give clients 6 months supply of drugs in most cases. So you'd find them having multi-month scripting, where they're having 2 prescriptions. They're going with one home and they'll come with it later on. So it is difficult to implement this both in the IL scenario and even just in IQ care, because if you do a prescription for 2 prescriptions, they have to be resolved today in the pending prescriptions, even if you do them 2 separately. So I think it's something that Kenya HMIS and CHAI can still think through and see how they can help us going forward. But I think this is a very strong product that can really help to increase efficiency, and further development to it is greatly appreciated. Otherwise, that's all from Afenyote Abonde. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Osoti. The only man with 2 names after Miguna. 2 same names. So thank you so much. Like we said before we started, if you have any questions or if you need any clarification from the team that is presenting, kindly post the questions on chat. We should be responding to them. And also the presenters will have an opportunity to also respond to them. Because of time, we will not be taking a Q&A because we are combining this, like I said, the meeting also with the training. So we've seen the 3 use cases from UMB team. And also we've gotten an opportunity to hear from Afia Nuria Bonde on the 1 use case they're implementing IL. So I'd like to invite Afia Ziwani to also share the experiences on IL implementation, what worked, what we need to improve on, and also what he would recommend for the other partners who have not started implementing IL. So Afia Ziwani, John, please take it away.
Possibly, if you would let me, I have to kind of take a break at around 3 for another meeting. But I wanted to just take this chance to, first of all, welcome you all to the call. It's good to listen to the experiences as part of training, because through that we are able to filter, the issues that can be easily resolved by training, and our training can be quite target and ensure that you are more comfortable setting the IL up and using it. The important thing about data exchange and interoperability is that there are several pieces of technologies involved for different use cases. As you have listened to the presenters, you'll find that there is use cases around the EMR and ADT. There is use cases between EMR and the viral load system, and we have a different use case for the automated indicator reporting. And of course, there are definitely other use cases. Within each 2 technologies that are interacting with each other, there are also additional use cases. For example, for the ADT data exchange, there's registration, there's prescription, and different than each other. Work as you, it is possible to use. The other one is being listening to the presenters is something that we can pick and see and explore how to handle during the training. So I'm really looking forward to the training session, so that we can unpack the different use cases and the issues that partners have raised, and figure out how through just this session we can have them addressed and unlock the potential that the IL has to offer for the benefit of both the patient and the clients. Back to you, Diana, as we be coming in with questions in the chat, but also at the end have some kind of a wrap up that involves kind of making sure everything is addressed. Over. Back to you, Diana.
Thanks, Doc, for those remarks. I'll hand it over to Afya Ziwani for their experience sharing.
Thanks, Dan. My name is John Masharia. I'm the Health Informatics Officer for Afya Ziwani. So I'll take you through our implementation for the IL layer. So for Afya Ziwani, at the moment, we are concentrating on 2 systems, MLAB and Ushauri. Because for the moment, we are looking at MLAB for the real-world results and Ushauri for the SMS reminders for our clients. So at the moment, we have implemented the IL layer in 28 of our supported facilities. And I think we started this process back in May. So we have 20 sites in Nyamira, which are implementing the MLAB interoperability. And we have 8 sites in Kisumu. So for us, we are doing it with the internet. I know there are 2 options. You can either go the modem way or the internet way. As we opted for the internet way because we are using the internet for other functions as well, like remote, few other functions. So our goal, of course, is to implement the IL layer in all our 59 supported EMR sites. And we also intend to onboard the other systems like KHIS, ADT, and any other system that might be using the interoperability layer. So some of the bits we have enjoyed the IL layer is the results coming directly into the EMR. That is a big score. Basically, that's a very good scenario of EMR making work easier, because initially you would see the health facility workers going to the website or sending an SMS to get the results, but now you just log into EMR and the result is there. Of course, easy and timely access to the results, improved data quality in EMR, as you are going to see in the next slide. Then we have the reduced workload at facility level. As I had mentioned earlier, of course, healthcare workers used to use manual ways to get the results, either log into the website to have the results or send the SMS or maybe print them. But now that they come directly into EMR, that's a very big score. And of course, it reduces the duplication of VA results. These are cases whereby you find in the website, we have the same client, but because in the first VL, they put a dash between MFL and the number. The second one, they put a slash. The third one, they don't put anything. So basically, they appear like 3 different people, but it's essentially the same person. So basically, with this IL layer, we are going to reduce those instances and reduce the deduplication efforts which have been there previously. So in terms of data quality improvement, so as I said, we had started our interoperability layer back in May. So basically, we did a baseline in the National Data Warehouse, and we looked at percentage of clients with zero results in the last 12 months. As you can see in Kisumu, as at June 2020, we were at 58% of clients with a VA result in the last 12 months. After implementing the IL, that is basically for 1 month, that's the month of June, that went up to 65%, which I think is a good improvement. Nyamira, the same, we were at 66%, we rose to 73%, and overall, we rose from 62% to 70%. So basically, I think this is a good improvement, although I believe it could have been better, because I know that one of the challenges with the VL implementation, as we are going to see, is the unique patient number in the EMR needs to be exactly the same as the unique patient number in the VeloLoad website, and some of them are not the same. So I think that is one of the issues which has made this number not rise as much, because we were of course expecting better results, but this is good all the same. So basically, this is a clear picture that it does improve the quality of the data we have in our EMRs. So let's have a look at the challenges. As I was saying, for interoperability to happen with MLAB, the unique patient number need to be the same. So what have we done to basically tackle this issue? So we have had data cleaning at facility level to ensure that they put the 10-digit UPN, the facility MFL code, plus the 5-digit facility serial number. That is a process which is still ongoing at facility level. Then, of course, we sensitize the clinical team to make a lab request using that 10-digit number. No adding of dashes or slashes or anything, just the 10 digits. And then, of course, we have our lab technicians at the hub who basically load the VA request into the VL website. So we also sensitize them on using the same 10-digit number. So we are hoping in future we are going to have more people, basically more results getting into our EMRs. And maybe on this one, a request maybe I would make to the Palladium team is we are not able to see the numbers which don't match at the IL layer. You have to go one by one to see which got in, which never got in. But I'm sure there are many results that never get in because the numbers are different. If you could provide a way of letting the facility people know that these lab results never got in because of a mismatch in the UPNs, that can be very helpful. As I said earlier, we were doing MLAB and Ushauri. So for Ushauri, we are still experiencing some technical glitches, but we have communicated the same to the mHealth team, and I'm sure it's something they are working on. So as soon as that is ready, I think we will be more than ready to roll it out to our facilities. Yeah, and I think that is it from our end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John, for that presentation. And to the other presenters also, I think one of the key things that has come out from the three presentations is that for the e-prescription registration and also e-subscription, it would be important to ensure that the UPNs are 10 digits. So that cleaning is very important prior, because we wouldn't want to get that mismatch. Also for also the viral loads, it would be very important to make sure that we clean that so that we don't get results for different clients. So if we have even a difference of 1 digit, we wouldn't want that mix-up of viral load results to get into the wrong client. So we appreciate the feedback we have received from the team. The experiences also, I think everyone has learned a thing or two on how to implement the IL and the different use cases. So I know there are some challenges that came out from the presentations. I think we can respond to some of them. And then for the Ushauri challenges, the mHealth team will be taking over after this. So I'm sure they will also address those. So I'd want to welcome Koske to just respond to a few of the challenges that have been raised and what we are doing about them. Koske, karibu.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Danson Koski. I will basically try to respond to the issues raised or concerns. So I think we might want to start systematically. I think first of all, we should all have the updated IL. So I think it would be good to ensure you always have the latest of the tools, whether it's the EMR, whether it's the IL, because I've had some issues that have been fixed already. So, but systematically we can talk about The requirements is let's all have the latest EMRs and the latest IL installed. Then after that, I think there are some requirements for exchange of data. First of all, the challenge with the client numbers would need some continuous cleaning up of the numbers. So let's just have ADT and IQ Care also and Kenya EMR all have the same consistent client numbers, that thereby you'll avoid a lot of exchange issues. So that is one of the requirements that should be continuous and should be done. So in terms of message prescriptions and the delays, I think initially IL had a lot of messages. So how IL works, if it gets a message, it queues it. So if it would get a lot of viral loads, which were somehow a lot, they were coming in a lot. And that might have affected maybe prescriptions, registration. So the new features for the new IL, basically we have message prioritization. So it means that a registration message is very important. So it would be sent first, regardless of what is in the queue. So that first of all ensures that all the participating systems have the correct client or patient. That means thereafter, any other information that is sent will be available. In terms, for example, for the weight and the height, that is not a prescription message. If you looked at IL, that is based on the triage information and any patient update. So that one should be there at the, should be sent out whenever it is updated. So it means that the client should have that registered client that has been shared through IL in the proper way should have those details already. So that would mean that when you're doing prescription, you should already have those and also that might be tied up to the delay of the messages. If you're using an old IL, there was that delay. So, but the new IL prioritizes some messages so that it ensures that prescriptions have been able to be executed correctly. So I think those are some of the issues that were mentioned, but ideally, if you get the latest tool, you'll benefit from the new message prioritization queue, which basically improves on the communication. So I think the rest are also dependent on the participating system for MLAB and CHAI. So on our end, we would strive to improve on the exchanges. So we'd like also to discussions with MLAB and CHAI so that we can have an updated, I think over time we need to update the messages and see what has worked well and what has not worked well. But it's something that we are looking at. So I would just mention that just have the latest tools. It fixes most of the issues. And you should be good to, should work with the implementation. I think those are some of, I think everything is tied to what I've just mentioned. Just make sure you have a cleanup of the numbers so that even when you're doing prescriptions, you don't have to re-register someone because of a wrong client number. Dan?
Thank you so much, Koske. Thank you for those responses. We are very privileged to have the mHealth team as well. They are our partners in these IL implementations and rollouts. So I would want to give them an opportunity to share with us the mHealth solutions that they have. Some of us have been getting requests of how do we get MLAB in the facilities, what modems exactly should we purchase. So I would like to give the opportunity to the mHealth team so that they can share with us the prerequisites for the implementation of MLAB and Ushauri and T4A as well, and also to share their presentation. Karibuni sana.
Yeah, thank you, Diana. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm assuming I'm audible. Diana, confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Loud.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Jenny Famwaro from mHealth Kenya. So I think our responsibility here will just to share with you what MLAB and Ushauri does on IL. So without wasting a lot of time, I'll just request Rooney to take us through that session. And then I think I've also been following the presentation. So John Machari, I think will be able to respond to you. And I think from this session, you'll be able to find a solution on Ushauri. Thank you, Rooney. Over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. As you've heard, my name is Ronnie Odur. I'll share a short presentation just to take you through, not really comprehensively on what MLAB and Ushauri are, but how they fit into the whole IL picture. So I'm sharing a presentation. So I'm going to be presenting on the mHealth Kenya IL toolkit, which is basically the connector that we use to communicate with the IL, with the two systems, that is Ushauri and MLAB. Before I do that, I'd like to just, for the sake of those who have not interacted with these two particular systems, give some very brief overview of what those two systems are and how we're able to get them. And ideally, what is the value proposition for the particular systems. So speaking on Ushauri, Ushauri is an appointment diary sort of platform that we use to basically notify facilities and clients on their appointments that clients may have that have been booked in either in the Ushauri as a standalone system or have been booked in the EMR and sent to Ushauri through the interoperability layer. So it offers the digitized client registrations for sites that do not have EMR as well. It also digitizes the appointment register, so you're able to monitor all the appointments. For instance, you could tell that on a given day, like tomorrow, Friday, you know you have 50 appointments, and of which 10 are refills or maybe a lab ADT or a refill for a certain regimen. So there also a location of tracing for clients, so for those who may be missing from the appointment. So if they missed an appointment and the Ushauri offers the capability to allocate a tracer to this and also record the outcomes from the client tracing. Also the defaulted area is digitized, and this is quite comprehensively done. And of course, we appreciate also the partners that have helped us to make this better. And basically what it offers is a report that you can get at the tip of your fingers on how many appointments you may have, how many people may have missed their appointments, or how many are booked for a certain day, and so forth. So Ushauri basically then would offer notification to clients as the biggest value proposition. So they would be notified that they have been booked and reminded basically to come for those appointments. The system is also capable of following an individual up in case they missed their appointment and relaying that report back to the facility. But then also, as their defaulters can also be categorized, and basically the report generated and given to the facility for this. So this can be done using a mobile phone because it's a mobile application where you can basically book, and the beauty is that it does not really require internet access for it to function, as then this can also be done via SMS. Okay, so for the integrations that you have done, what it does for Ushauri is we receive registrations from the EMR and ADT through IL. We are also able to receive appointments that are booked either from the web ADT and EMR through IL as well. So this data is sent to a central server using internet, which is preferable, as we have, over the course of the implementations, we have noted that there are a lot of challenges that are associated with SMS. But then also this, in cases that we have all the challenges addressed, then SMS is also a viable option, and this data can be sent to the central server through SMS then from IL. So currently, the implementation that we have done for Ushauri is one way, in that the Ushauri system will not be sending any data back to IL, but as Koske said as well, we could have discussions where some of this data that is generated or that is available on Ushauri may need to be relayed back to IL for any of those systems that may subscribe to it, and that's something that, pending discussions, we could actually work on and have that done as well. Moving on to MLAB. MLAB is a system that is used to relay lab results to facilities via SMS or internet application that you can get. And once you have that application on the facility phone or the clinician, able to get these results directly from the LIMS. What MLAB offers is the improved availability and timeliness of test results, as we noted from the presentation, especially by Afia Ziwani. So for right now, it's availed the EID results, the viral load results, as well as the TB results that are currently available there as well. So the results are provided in form of SMS and are sent to that particular number. Or if there's internet available in cases, then it's pushed directly through the APIs to that application. And it reduces the turnaround time that we see, or that we viewed, that from the time the results are released by the labs to when it actually gets the facility. So the aim of MLAB is actually bridging that gap. MLAB also offers sample remote login, so you could actually be able to send the sample request forms to the labs, even as you send the physical samples on courier. And this also reduces the workload that then the lab has to do, because they will already have that data then sent to them. And those are some of the advantages or the value propositions that MLAB would be offering. So the graph here could basically explain what MLAB, then the full cycle of what is done. So once the patient is bled and samples are transported, at this point, then the sample remote login would be used if necessary as well. So this data would then be sent to the lab. But when the samples get to the lab, then they get tested. And we have this linked to the LIMS for both the CHAI system that basically the CHAI LMIS, as well as the NPHL lab management system. So the results, when ready, are pushed then to MLAB, which in turn pushes it to the relevant facilities through the mobile numbers that they indicated, or in cases where they have IL installed and they're using internet, then they are pushed directly to that API. It also offers a dashboard where you can actually get these reports generated, just like the EID dashboard. But at that point, then you also receive notification that results have been sent to the facility. And in cases where this is allowed for the clients, then the patients also get notified. Yeah, so this, when integrated with IL, then we're able to send results to the IL as soon as they're available. And once they're sent to the IL through the toolkit that I'm going to be talking about, then this is sent or saved directly into the patient file in the EMRs for cases where that number matches. So this is also, we found that it's a bit more successful when we're using the internet options. There's a higher success rate as opposed to working with the mobile phone numbers. So depending on the availability of this particular setup, then the results are sent to IL. And also to mention that the current setup also for MLAB, since it is not subscribed to any of the messages from IL, for instance, the system does not really need to know the registration details of a particular individual, but rather the CCC number is what the system will need. So we are not receiving any data from the EMR at the moment because it's, as Koske explained, IL works based on subscriptions for particular messages. So at this point in time, then MLAB is not subscribed to any of the messages, but rather only does the one-way sending to the IL, the lab results that are available, because there are systems that are subscribing to that. So the mHealth toolkit that is used in the IL is available on that repo. I will share this with Diana as well, the presentation, so that she can share it around. Unfortunately, I have interacted with the IL itself personally, and I know that it's a bit friendly to use. It's a click installer. Unfortunately, for that mHealth toolkit, currently we don't have the click installer for now. We will work on that and then update, but this toolkit is currently available on that repo. It also includes a detailed instructions file, and I would like to use the example of Afya Ziwani. So we are available as a team to support on installation of this, but then it also helps if someone can get this directly and then use it and to install by themselves, and that will also work. So once you get that detailed instructions and you get this file, then you're able to set it up. And the toolkit itself is cross-platform, so it works on both Windows and Linux operating systems. I believe we also worked on this with the Afya Ziwani team. So the advantages with the Windows is it also offers capability of creating a service that will then run automatically and then will not need to be started. So, but when installing on Linux, it runs the same way I run. So it will be using the same PM2 service to run as the IL itself. So data is then pushed when available. So if data is available for a particular facility that has been registered on MLAB and has been activated, that setup has been completed, then whenever the results are available from the lab, then this is sent directly to this particular facility. In the same way, then if once the toolkit is set up at a facility and any message is sent that Ushauri has subscribed to, for instance, a registration or an appointment booking from the EMR, this is then also sent to the IL toolkit, which pushes it to the central server of Ushauri, as I mentioned earlier. So this is just a sample of the instructions. As I mentioned, there's a detailed instructions file that is included in the repo. But once you clone that project and install the dependencies, the only thing then you need to match is the MFL code for the facility, for the case of MLAB, and also ensuring that the IP, because it is not in all cases that you find that this is installed in the same machine as IL. So sometimes you find they're working in the same computer basically, and that is what the default comes as. But then in cases where the IL and the mHealth toolkit are set up in different machines, then you have to confirm that the IP address is then linked sufficiently. And then in the cases where there's no modem, then there's no internet, then you need the modem, because we send this data using SMS. And once this modem is, the toolkit is in place, the modem is inserted properly, and we have the right number, then this data will be sent that particular number, and the toolkit will be able to consume it and send it to IL. So basically reading the messages from that particular modem and sending it to IL to forward it to the relevant systems that are subscribed to that particular message. So I'm going to talk about the challenge that we saw, and I kept mentioning that it's preferable for internet enabled sites, because one of the biggest challenges that we've had is facilities losing modems. So you set up the toolkit and the modem is indicated or purchased and left at the facility. And then a few weeks later, then you get a call or you notice that the messages are not being sent to that particular number. And then upon inquiry, you find that the modem is missing, or a number was changed when someone wanted to use internet. We tried with CHS Tegemeza as well to have this modem actually secured in the computer itself, and worked well for some cases, but in some cases it did not as well. Another challenge that we are seeing is we may have, for a particular facility, you may have, for instance, 10 results, and you would forward all of these to the IL, but then you find that only 5 of them were matching the same CCC number that was sent to the lab with what is indicated in the EMR. So in these cases, as John also mentioned, from Afyaziwani, then you find that the results are available from the labs, but then it's hard for this particular for the system to match, because we are expecting an exact match on the CCC number. So you may find that this is an issue that we are having to actually match the results, which is one of the challenges that we have been working with a few partners to actually try and rectify, to ensure that the CCC number that is indicated in the patient file in the EMR is exactly the same number that is included in the sample manifest as it goes to the lab. In the same way, it's kind of the same challenge, but you find that one of the designs that Ushauri has is it restricted the CCC number to a 10-digit numeric, which is not always the case. And so you may find IL is working perfectly, and registration is done in the facility, in the EMR, or an appointment is booked even on ADT. And this is when it's pushed to Ushauri, it is not able to record that particular patient because it's not matching the format, the number, the CCC number format that Ushauri is expecting. And because this is a directive that we had from I think one of the meetings in the Ministry of Health to have this 10-number digit restricted, you find that sometimes the message fails, but not because the system is not set up correctly, but rather the data that is sent does not conform to what this particular other system is expecting. So aside from these challenges, I know that installing the IL mHealth toolkit itself is quite technical. As I mentioned, we will be working on Click Installer, but the team, myself, and a few other guys who are not available in this meeting, are always available to help when you're experiencing any challenges. We have managed to install, even during this pandemic period where we are not able to be on the ground, we have been able to assist even remotely to have this setup done and have this working for those particular facilities. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I want to take this back to Diana just so that she can lead. But I'll also be here, and if you have any questions or clarifications or something you want to add, then you can just reach forward, and I will be able to assist in that. Over.
Thanks so much, Ron, for that wonderful presentation. And like Ron said, it's available throughout this meeting. and he'll be ready to address any questions that you may be having. We are really pressed for time. I can see we only have 35 minutes, and I don't think that is enough for the training session that is ahead of us. I want to take this back to Otieno so that he can lead us in the next session of training. I don't know what guidance he'll give us, considering we only have very few minutes and we have a lot that we needed to cover. We've taken much more time than we had planned, but I think all the deliberations were really important and they were really helpful. Back to you, Otieno.
Yes, thank you very much, Diana, and all the presenters who have presented. So, looking at the time, it is almost 3:30, and I'm sure we are having another call at exactly 4. So I don't know how much we can do in terms of technical training within the 30 minutes. So I have 2 proposals. One is to give the remaining time for questions and answers and any other discussion that might come up. Then we defer the training to next time. We can reschedule the training to next week. That is option 1. Or option 2, we could do one part of the technical training, which again, I'm sure time might not really allow, then do the rest again next week. So I think I stand guided in those, but those are the options that I'm proposing, given the time constraints that we are facing. So I think, Diana, you may want to kind of have final word on that. If at all we may defer this to next week, so then we leave time for discussions between now and 3:50. Or if we need to do one part of the technical training, then we defer the rest.
Yeah, I think I agree with your first option, so that we may not rush in the training. We could just maybe defer to next week, and then we have more discussions on IL. Maybe you can have just the introductory slides for IL, and then after that we then have discussions, because time will not be enough. I mean, 20 minutes will not be enough to cover, and we wouldn't really want to rush it.
Yeah, so I think I support that, and I can see Kevin also supports the same option. We defer the technical training to next week. So I guess then we can maybe leave the remaining time to discussion about IL, about the presentations that have already been made, and also some of the issues that were raised. Maybe if we can have that discussion right now, and I'm sure Boniface Makone is also within the call. I'm sure he has a few questions or comments that he might want to make regarding the presentations and also IL. And maybe he might also take the same opportunity to also talk about some of the options that are available, and maybe if there is any other discussion that is ongoing as regards IL, maybe we can do that. So I think also from the presentations we've seen, popular use case, the popular use case for IL here is streaming the viral load and also submitting the automated indicator reporting to DHIS. So those are the 2 major use cases, though we have seen from the presentations that there are some facilities that are using it for data exchange between ADT, ADT, and also for D4A. Okay, so Makone, if you are within, maybe if you have a question or a comment.
Hey, Bernard.
Yes.
I think I don't know if it's a question or a suggestion.
Okay.
So we are doing, there was this suggestion to implement, to submit data from IL to DHIS2, the live one.
Yeah.
And we are supposed to get the username and password from the sub-county people to use it. And for places like Nyamira County, I can say they use one, okay, basically the sub-county HRS are the one who key in the data for all the sites in the sub-counties. And there are some security concerns with sharing of their credentials. I don't know if Palladium can come up with an account for that particular task, or what would be the best way forward.
Yeah, I think if I may try to respond to that, I think given that this report is submitted from the facility level, means it's supposed to go with that facility name, and it's supposed to go with the credentials, account credentials for someone who is authorized to submit that facility's report to the DHIS. So I wouldn't really support having one centralized credential for all the ILs in Kenya, but I think you can configure the account to go with the name of an authorized person at the facility to submit that data to the DHIS. So for instance, in Nyamira, let's say Nyamira sub-county, Nyamira County Referral Hospital, if there is a HRIO who usually submit this data, then you can configure its details into that IL instance, and then let IL submit the AIR to DHIS using its credentials. I don't know if Diana, you want to add into that?
Oh, I guess you summed it well.
Okay. So, John, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay, it does for those sites where they have a HRIO at facility level that does that, but most of the for the entire sub-county. So you're talking about 7 sites with the same person, same credentials. So we use the same for, okay, I had actually tried to get those credentials, and basically there are concerns from their end about the privacy and maybe can get leaked because they are not on the IL layer in the server. Yeah, so basically there were concerns.
Yeah, I think the concern about the IL, given that it doesn't conceal the credentials, I think that has been addressed, as Koskei had already shared with us. There are some issues that were shared with us before, which already have been addressed. So again, if you could pick the latest version of IL, you'll find that the credentials for whoever is submitting that data is now concealed. You are not, not everybody is able to access those credentials.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Any other comment or question surrounding IL and any other use case that has been shared so far?
Hi, Ben.
Hi.
I'd like to just contribute something from what John about the issue of credentials when you're setting up IL for DHIS2. So his first concern regarding the privacy of the username and the password were addressed. In fact, Kinakoske gave us a build which he used. But the other concern for the sub-county team in Nyamira is just giving out the credentials. So John was thinking, or the Afyaziwani team were thinking, if they could be able to just have an account that they can use to access DHIS2, so that they can use their accounts when they're setting up, they're configuring IL for air. It should be easier as compared to right now, going through the HRIOs in Nyamira who are not comfortable giving out the credentials in the first place.
So, Frida, I don't know if that is a question or a comment.
That is what John was asking. But if it's not that clear, I think we can take it up after the meeting and maybe just discuss the way forward and possible solutions.
Okay. All right. Any other question or comment?
Maybe Ben, just a follow-up from a discussion that John had. I understand he had issues with Ushauri, but I think at this point, maybe if it could be explained maybe to the partners, what is possible for Ushauri within the IL, because I understand he was trying to add in some data and I think it was not possible. And from what he was saying is he needed some, I think a payload or something, maybe he can explain. So I think what happens on Ushauri, the initial configuration and the data sets that were considered in IL are the current ones that are being used. Because I know in Ushauri we have extra things, like we have the tracing, the default module that was not considered in the initial setup. So I think there's a break somewhere that I think we just need to make it clear what is possible between the Ushauri and the IL setup, so that maybe it's clear for maybe the partners and those who are implementing IL on Ushauri. So I don't know if John, you'd like to just say what it was, or so that we see how, if we can find a solution, if that can be added into the IL integration, or we can maybe get solution on this platform. I don't know. I seek to be guided.
Yeah, sure. I can clarify. So the issue is there is the registration bit from Kenya EMR. So basically, Kenya to IL sends the payload to Ushauri for registration. Then at the Ushauri stage, it collapses because we are missing ART start date in the payload. Yeah, so basically that. Basically, the IL for EMR registration from Kenya EMR to Ushauri basically is not functional. And I think they acknowledged the same and they said they are working on it. So basically I'm waiting for their feedback. If maybe they're on the call, maybe let us know how far they've gone. What the progress is.
Yeah, so we are working on this. We will update via email shortly. And of course, we have to engage also the Palladium team to see that this is also affected in IL. So I think after we have had those discussions, then we can be in a better place to respond. Over.
Great, thanks. Thank you.
So if I may just maybe also chip in on the same, especially on Ushauri, and I'm asking this on behalf of which facility is this? Matoso. What exactly does a facility need to configure the T4A for IL? Because I'm sure Ushauri might be a bit comprehensive, but maybe there is a facility that just needs to send out appointment message reminders and maybe motivational messages to clients through the T4A. So what exactly does a facility need set up the T4A for IL.
So what is required is basically the same toolkit we spoke about. Once this is installed in the IL enabled facility, you install that toolkit. The only other step then is to have that facility activated in Ushauri, so that we can know that we are going to be expecting to be sending out messages from them and expecting registrations for that. And activation on Ushauri is not really a tedious process. I think Jennifer can guide with that. But once you have this toolkit installed in the facility, then the facility is activated on Ushauri, and then that communication process then is automated even when they're not using the actual Ushauri application. I don't know if you have something to add, Jennifer.
I think you are clear. So we just need for that facility, if its intention is just to send out the appointment reminders, so that is what they need to install. And then from Ushauri bit, and I think from a programmatic level, we usually talk about consenting the clients. So again, that is also an issue that they need to think. I don't know if we usually consent clients before they come into the EMR, so that we can just pick that TCA and broadcast, because our work will just to pick the TCA from the EMR and just broadcast the appointment reminder from Ushauri. So maybe they need to think about that process if the clients are already consented and they're in the EMR. So once we activate them on Ushauri, it's just what we'll be doing is just to pick the TCA from the EMR and then broadcasting the appointment reminder, which is a process that is done automatically from the backend. So that is just for them just to use Ushauri on appointment reminder. But at that stage, the tracing and the default tracing will not happen, because this is done specifically from the Android platform. But the appointment reminder, once they install the toolkit and they assure the patient who are at the EMR have consented to the services, to either to receiving SMS or being registered into EMR, and then it's simple. We just pick the TCA and we transmit the appointment reminders to the clients.
Okay, thanks for that. I don't know if there is any further questions or comments on this one.
Maybe Otieno just asking for a friend. Maybe we may want to get the difference between, some people are saying T4A, Ushauri. Maybe the mHealth team can help us differentiate or make the team understand what T4A, Ushauri mean.
Actually, T4A and Ushauri, it's one system. Maybe just to give a bit of a background, we started implementing Ushauri as T4A during the pilot phases, maybe in the three facilities, one in one of our partner sites. So after that, they added functionalities and commendation, and the feedback is what created Ushauri. And since now Ushauri has been adopted as a national tool by NASCOP and everyone, so actually what we did is we've transitioned all facilities that are using T4A into Ushauri. So currently, actually, we're going to drop the name T4A to Ushauri, but there are other facilities that started and are still stuck maybe with the name of T4A, but actually it's just one and the same thing. We are now all of us using Ushauri as one platform. That is what has been scaled to every partner, and even those ones who had T4A in their site, we've transitioned them into using Ushauri. So maybe we'll have to drop the name T4A for now. It's just Ushauri, and it's just one system that is being used by everyone. I don't know if that makes it clear.
Yes, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, so I think thanks for the responses. If there is any further question, I'm looking at the time. I don't know if Makone is already back in the room. I would expect him to make a comment or so before we close the session.
Bernard, I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so so I had some system issues on and off, but at least some few things came up. So I just wanted to clarify why this might actually be very important for us. So as you know, the program currently right now is moving towards patient-centric care. So for that, you actually need more granular data. So you can see there is the resurgence of sort of like patient-centric indicators, things like TXML, TXRTT. And the best, or what I call the ideal situation, is basically to have good, clean patient-level data. And I think that's where the program is heading. So for this to actually happen, we need sort of interoperability across these systems. And I think that can't be delivered a lot. I mean, we need to have the sort of the same information but have different facets to it. Let's say treatment, where you can have, let's say, the care and treatment side, which is the EMR, dispensing, and so forth, default tracing. And for that to actually happen, we need interoperability across the system. So I know there's a lot of issues that have been raised, things are system issues, things around speed and crashes, two-way data exchange, basically for something like Ushauri, underlying system issues. So some of these issues are tied to the EMR or to the WebDT, and basically not tied to the IL itself. And as Koski has said, one of the most important things before you actually sort of report a bug is to make sure you have the latest version running, because some of these issues have actually been fixed. From the service delivery perspective, I think one of the important things will be standardization of client identifiers. That's really, really key to enable interoperability across the system. I know one of the solutions would be to restrict this to rigid validation, but I know there was a pushback from the service delivery partners, some of them, and so it was sort of something like, just it's nice to do, but it isn't really enforced. But I know for the EMR there's some sort of enforcement. And then also, I think one of the sort of milestones for us to actually achieve success in the IL would mean sort of widespread adoption and deployment. So as we've seen, it's really an important and critical tool. And we have very few sites having IL installed. Basically, I can say reported to actually have IL installed. So one of the most important things for us will be to scale up the IL deployment, because I know we have EMRs, we have WebDT, so I don't think the resources will be that much of an issue. So just adopting the system and scaling it up. So I think the last point I want to really put across is, as you know, you might be going through sort of a migration for the HIS, and some of the proposed issues for the scorecard for success of this will actually be the deployment of all these different varied systems at site. So I know this hasn't really been firmed up yet, but these are some of the discussions that are going on. So I'd really encourage you to sort of think about the HIS scope for your IM. Think about what you have deployed, and sort of think, sort of have a count. Let's say like for EMRs, these are the number of EMRs you have. These are the functional EMRs. These are the point of care EMRs and so forth. Looking at IL, WebDT, EHTS, and all this, because this will sort of be considered at the end of the migration as a scope. So I think this is something we need to really work on. And the advantage of the IL is that right now you can actually have it installed. You don't need to wait for the migration. So I think we have sort of all to the same consensus that the IL is important. I need to set it up, and this is something that will be sort of following moving forward. I think that's all from me. Back to you, Bernard.
All right. Thanks for the comments. I guess thanks also for emphasizing on the importance of having IL. So I guess looking at the time, it's just 10 minutes. And I'm thinking before we close, maybe I will just run through my roll call one more time, just for my documentation before we close. So I don't know if Afya Jijini is in the room. Anyone from Afya Jijini? Okay. Hope Worldwide. Okay, Ngima for sure. All right. Health strat. Water in Nairobi. ICAP. Next one is Walter in South Rift. Afya Pwani. Okay, so I think I have my documentation right. Okay, so I don't know if there's any further comment or question to Boniface before we end this session for today. Okay, silence means we are all good. So I just want to take this opportunity to first thank everyone for attending in time today. I think we started very well. It's just that we had a lot to unpack today. So apologies again, since we are unable to proceed with our IL technical training. And I guess this presents a better opportunity so that next week when we have our trainings, we will be better equipped with good knowledge and understand the basis of IL and why we need to get that knowledge, and also to implement across our supported facilities. So thank again also to the presenters who have made a presentation this afternoon. I think you've done a good job. So there being no any other business, allow me to take this opportunity to wish you a good evening. We will communicate the date for IL training probably early next week. So look out for that particular communication. Otherwise, thank you very much and God bless you. Bye.
Maybe before you close.
Okay.
Maybe before you close, maybe we can give an opportunity to mHealth to just give their last remarks and then we close. And thank you so much for joining this call. mHealth team, last remarks.
So from mHealth, thank you, the Palladium, Moderna, and the team for making this possible. Because we know actually a lot of partners have been reaching us on IL, and I think this is a very important forum that at least partners have given out their response and their experience with IL and MLAB and Ushauri. And we promise the bits that are remaining, I think we'll work together with Palladium to have this sorted so that you have a smooth experience in using the two tools. Thank you. I think that is from us from mHealth Kenya. Asanteni sana.
All right, thank you and sorry for that. Okay, so I think then that ends it for us for today. Let's meet again next week. God bless you.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.